If you please join us, if you can, to stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Superintendent's comments.
Okay, thank you. A couple of things that I want to have a brief discussion about. Number one, we are very much looking forward to a great convocation on Wednesday with all of our staff, both teaching and service staff, kicking off the start of the school year. For the August 17th school opening, we have folks assigned to be present from the school board office at every single one of our schools, welcoming folks, making sure that everybody has extra support for registering kids and for, getting folks off the buses and getting ready to go. So we think that we're well prepared to welcome everybody, kick off the start of a great year. As we're getting ready for the start of the new year and students are registering, we're looking at enrollments and we're making decisions about staffing, one of the things that I wanted to bring to the board's attention, you have in front of you a provision out of the West Virginia Code. It's 18A-2-7 and it's Section E. And it's a provision of the code that was passed, my understanding, 2 years ago, that allows school divisions, as enrollment is increasing and decreasing across different schools, that allows for the transference of staff between schools if enrollment goes up unexpectedly in one place and places us outside of the acceptable class size limits for West Virginia, and another school goes down in ways that weren't anticipated, then it gives us the capacity to go have conversation with the staff at that school and transition staff to the school where they're needed. Now, this is not a provision that we have had to use in the past. However, as the board and the public is aware, we've faced sort of the dual prong of increasing enrollment and decreasing revenue. And we have been taking a number of steps to try to address that, both in our current staffing with looking at duty periods, planning periods, schedules, class sizes, having positions at the school board office remain unfilled while we cover those with existing staff, all in an effort to try to ensure that as we move forward that we have a balanced budget and we're being as fiscally responsible as possible both now and into the future. So we have not yet enacted this provision. We've looked at the numbers across all of the schools and we're having those conversations with principals and staff. But if it becomes necessary, I wanted you to be aware of the provision ahead of time, and we would come back at a later date and notice you on any transfers. Okay. Okay. I'll wait until the consent agenda for the rest of it.
I'm very sorry I neglected to share with you that Mr. Sudduth will be with us. He was on a flight in this evening and it was delayed and he did not make it into Dulles Airport till 5:30, and at that point he texted the superintendent and texted me that I would have to pinch hit for him till he gets here. Is there a motion on action of approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting held July 27, 2015 and the special board meeting, the board retreat held July 30th, 2015?
So moved.
Second? Okay.
It wasn't at the
Discussion?
It wasn't at the regular.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, we have several citizens' comments. Once again, I want to make you aware that try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, and Mrs. Skinner will be our timer. Our first person that would we would like to hear speak this evening is Charles Wall, and he is speaking on the high school grading policy.
Yes, over there?
Yes, over there, please.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Gibson. Tonight I address you as a member of JCA and on behalf of JCA. Currently, the Board of Education has policy Chapter 7 Instruction 5-2-4 High School Grades 9, 10, 11, 12 out for public comment and review. Originally, a committee of stakeholders from both high schools drafted a policy which was presented to the board to the July 13th board meeting and was sent back by the board for further work. The current policy out for review was revised by administrators and was presented at the July 27th meeting. At that meeting, a JCA member asked for the policy to be sent back to committee or to both high school department chairs for review and input. While the policy is currently still out for review, it is not on tonight's agenda. JCA would like to follow up on the request for this policy to be returned to the stakeholders at the high schools for their input. As requested, JCA feels it's important for stakeholders, be it the committee or high school department head chairs, to have input on this policy. If a person has concerns or questions about a medical procedure, you discuss and you get input from medical professionals, those who work firsthand on the front line with medicine. JCA would like to follow up on that request that the board go back for input from those stakeholders who work daily with high school students and issues. We request your follow-up on our request. Thank you for allowing me to share my concerns or JCA concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Mr. Sudduth has arrived. I'll give him a second to get seated. He's acclimated. Rhonda Reynolds. Rhonda's speaking on the makeup and vacancies policy, board vacancy policy.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
Do you want to run through these, or do you want to take us back to that one?
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Gibson. At the July 27th Board of Education meeting, JCEA expressed concerns about Policy Chapter 1, Board of Education, Sections 1-1, 1.1, 1.3, 1.4.3, 1.5, 1.5.1c, and 1.5.2. A summary of our concerns included board membership and filling board seat vacancies. In regards to board membership, JCA's concern was with the wording "may include" at the option of the board. We feel the words should be "shall include" to ensure the encompassing of all stakeholder groups. Also, the principal's liaison should not be excluded from that policy. These changes will promote consistency, as the board has been discussing. JCA's second concern was equitable representation on the committee, which would be formed to consider individuals seeking to fill any board vacancy. In order to adequately represent stakeholders and constituents, the committee should include an LSIC representative from each of the 5 magisterial districts, instead of just one LSIC member at large. Again, this will provide consistency that this board is promoting. In reviewing the public agenda information, JCA sees no changes have been made to the policy that is up for consideration tonight. JCA requests that you consider our recommendations which promote consistency. JCA seeks equal representation for all stakeholders along with voters in each magisterial district. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you. Ms. Roper? Is Arthena here?
Arthena.
Huh? I'm good. Good evening. I serve as our school's district's cultural diversity facilitator. I understand there were some questions about the cultural diversity program, and I'm here to speak on a few of our many successes. First, a bit of history of our cultural diversity program. Jefferson County Schools celebrates cultural diversity has been the mantra of the diversity program since its inception in 2004. Over a decade ago, the Jefferson County School Board members made a conscious decision to use levy funds to support a cultural diversity program. Formally, Jefferson County School Board of Education members demonstrated their commitment to cultural diversity by being one of only a few school districts in the state of West Virginia to employ a cultural diversity facilitator. The cultural diversity program in Jefferson County addresses the county strategic goal of fostering positive climate by working with students, parents, and the community to improve scholastic participation of those who are ethnically different, students of color, and those economically less advantaged than the community majority, according to Jefferson County demographics. Success is measured by improved numbers graduating from high school and acceptance to college. Also, historically, Jefferson County Schools demonstrates their value in cultural diversity by making available a $750 grant for each school's cultural diversity team. The small grants are incentives for teachers to fund school-wide diversity programs. One example of the program can be seen in the murals at Wildwood Middle School. The Jefferson County Cultural Diversity Program works with teachers and staff in culturally relevant topics every year. The Cultural Diversity Program has facilitated extensive teaching and staff training on Dr. Ruby Payne's Understanding Poverty. Over the past decade, the Jefferson County Cultural Diversity Program has cultivated a positive relationship amongst teachers and staff by supporting their appropriate handling of culturally sensitive issues in which they may not normally be versed. An example is a teacher contacting the cultural diversity facilitator and requesting resources to address cultural history of, say, the Confederate flag. This year, one can predict many students may be concerned about the national news of a popular presidential candidate threatening to send loved ones away for lack of documentation. It is important for Jefferson County school teachers and staff to be sensitive and responsive to the cultural issues that students and families internalize. The Jefferson County Cultural Diversity Program, is that my time? Okay. Oh, thank you. The Cultural Diversity Program serves as a resource to those many cultures as those issues arise. In 2006, Jefferson County Cultural Diversity Program started the West Virginia Achievement Project. The West Virginia Achievement Project was originally funded by the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation. The West Virginia Achievement Project supports culturally diverse students and their parents starting from the 4th grade through graduation, providing enrichment programs, workshops, academic support, and mentoring. The National College Board recognized Jefferson County schools in the year 2011 and 2012 for a significant increase of underrepresented students earning a 3 or higher on AP exams, advanced placement exams, and for increasing the numbers of minorities taking the AP exams. One of our greatest successes is the increase in the number of underrepresented groups participating in the advanced placement curriculum. The Cultural Diversity Team works to expand the eligibility of more diverse students using non-traditional metrics. The success can be easily measured by the number of students successfully completing these AP programs. I'm extremely proud of those successes. The Jefferson County Cultural Diversity Program recognizes that many students of color, ethnically diverse, and from lower social economic status nationally do not do well on standardized tests. However, we also recognize that these Limitations do not define who we are, and that can be recognized in the success rate of the students, the diverse students who graduate and go on to college from both Jefferson and Washington high schools. It's in the 90 percentile. I wish to thank you again for recognizing the Cultural Diversity Program in April here at the board. But I have, thank you for my 3 minutes, but thank you for my 6 probably.
We need to wrap it up.
Yes. Well, just thank you for all that you've done and for this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Laurie
it's Maurice Berry.
Laurie Sperry.
Hello, board. Speaking on cultural diversity, we would like to thank WVAP for all the hard work and efforts. I believe this program promotes a constant eagerness to achieve. This opportunity affords students to see beyond today and have expectancies for their tomorrows. Arthena Roper, Ms. Burgess, Mr. Jones, and a host of mentors are a valuable tool to the success of our children. The wealth of knowledge has been bestowed on my child during the most critical time in her life. It has kept her with a desire to pursue higher education. The workshops address social integration, acceptance, useful strategies, college preparedness, and maintaining self-discipline. Cultural diversity makes our country richer by making it more interesting in which to live. People from diverse cultures bring language skills, new ways of thinking, creative solutions to difficult problems, and negotiating skills. I feel my daughter has more of a positive self-image of herself. The 9 college tour allowed her to interact with students across the state. It taught her to be patient, understanding, compromising, and humble. For this opportunity to a parent is priceless. We as parents have our own experiences that at times are not completely conveyed. In the social setting of a like-minded peer creates an aha moment that we must appreciate what our past has done. And with hard work, dedication, and perseverance, I, too, can stand. We must keep these programs in existence. The Bible says that we perish for the lack of knowledge, Hosea 4:6. I truly believe that my grandmother, 4th grade education, my mother, 10th grade education, stand proudly at their grandchildren because of their opportunity to excel. I work for Loudoun County Schools where diversity reigns throughout. It has been a pleasure to see that we can come together to create change. We must learn from all people in order to be current and relevant. If we stay in a stagnant position, then no opportunities to flourish. Our students are reaping from the WVAP in more ways than one can imagine. Jefferson County Schools has a coordinator, Arthena Roper, outstanding seasoned teachers, compassionate counselors, and true overwhelming commitment to our students. This program allows extra reinforcement that education doesn't stop at 12th grade. It propels our students to speak out their dreams of higher education. Please allow WVAP to continue in Jefferson County Public Schools. Thank you.
Christy Edwards.
Take the long way around, just go right here. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I want to talk to you about the Cultural Diversity Program and the article that was in the newspaper. That's the only way that I knew that this was happening. My son is, or was, a member of the WVAP back in his 5th grade year. I can say I have 3 children. I graduated one from Jefferson High School, one from Washington High School, and now my son is in high school. And I can say that I believe that the program kind of fills in some cracks where there are some things lacking in the guidance area from my personal experience. So when we were approached his 5th grade year to take part in the program, I was very excited. We took part in it before his West Test scores were the average range in math and science. Sometimes he was scoring below average. After his 5th grade year, he was showing mastery skills in those 2 areas. And it's a direct result of that program. He actually had some issues in his 2nd grade year where he wasn't getting, the class was not getting proper instruction. It snowballed into his 3rd grade year, and then at Wright Denny. So he was kind of being targeted as a kid who didn't really have the skills that he initially had shown in his primary years, K through 2. So when he was having this opportunity when he had this opportunity to take part in this program, we jumped at it, and from that point, like I told you, his skills were above mastery in those 2 subjects. He went on his 6th grade year to, after they were the second week of classes, they moved him to honors courses. He's been an honors student ever since. And that is a direct result of the confidence that program built in his subjects that he was lacking, what's the word I'm looking for? Lacking confidence, but the skill there. So the math skill and the science skill, he was lacking confidence, but he's been an honor student ever since. I think it's very important that we continue this program so that students who have, as Arthena had mentioned, all different backgrounds. It doesn't matter what color you are, what your economic stance is in the community. I watched this program. The very last thing that they did in that program was a celebration of the year's successes, and it was in Martinsburg at their high school, and it was a sea of diversity. I'm speaking to you. I'm African American, Native American, and a Caucasian. So I'm looking at a sea of diverse faces, and all the families were there. They were all celebrating successes. The kids were smiling, the parents were smiling, the teachers were there supporting their kids. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And I think it would be a big disservice to our community to stop the program. So I thank you for your time, and I encourage you to contact me if you have any questions.
Thank you. Lorena Nathan.
Hi, good afternoon. I am really happy that you guys are all curious about that diversity program in Jefferson County. It is an awesome program. It has helped my son, Ricky Nathan. I'm Mexican, as you can see. So I think that this program is amazing. It has great teachers, great counselors, great director, that is Arthena. And I think that people that have problems are more likely to reach out to people that they look like them. You know what? It's very unlikely that me as Latina will go to you and say, hey, you know what, my kids are having a problem, here. It's not, it's not gonna happen. But when you see not only African Americans, but Hispanics, that are there to help you, you're more likely, to engage with that community. This program is amazing. I love it because he's not only serving African Americans, he's serving Latinos, he's serving Asians, you name it, and it's open to anyone that has low income. WAP program is serving anyone, whites also, anyone that wants to be there. I want you and encourage you to come to the parent cafe that we're going to have on September the 29th. I want to see you not only here sitting down, and talking about our program. I want you to be part of that. I want you to help us financially. I want you to get to know us, the community that you serve. I want you to do that, and I appreciate you allowing me to talk, and thank you so much. That's all I have to say for now.
Thank you. And could you make sure, sir, email Mrs. Harner, the superintendent, regarding this event? You said September when?
The 29th.
Okay, thank you.
I will. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for first participating in public comment. It's always good to see our community engaged in our school system, and we appreciate learning more and hearing about the importance of our cultural diversity program and your commitment to it. Actually, at our last, at the board retreat, we had a discussion about the cultural diversity of this school system, which is becoming much more diverse. I don't know if you remember the numbers. I don't want to put you on the spot.
That's okay. Actually, the largest minority population in Jefferson is Hispanic. It's 7.65%.
Yeah.
And African American at just under 7%, 6.8%.
And that's grown quite a bit in the last few years. So, again, thank you for participation, and thank you, Mr. Osborne. Apologize for being a little bit late this evening. Consent agenda.
Yes, sir. I actually have one revision and one just point of clarification on the consent agenda. First, under number 42 on human resources, where it says a transfer, simply wanted to clarify where there is typically a number there that those initials, the INT, actually stands for itinerant rather than a job number for the location, because that covers multiple work locations. And under the finance section for action on approval for individuals to provide contracted services for Jefferson County Schools as needed, one of the contracted services that's listed is a contract with Mr. Rick Dool, who previously served as a mentor for administrators within Jefferson. And as part of our review, and as we had discussed earlier this evening, part of our process of building internal capacity and looking at cost savings, we have worked with our own internal set of leaders to provide mentors for individuals within the system from other individuals within the system rather than contracting outside. So we've removed that from the agenda.
Okay, so you,
It's right here.
so we
Scott. Right here.
thank you. Okay. Do we have a motion on consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Comments?
One
Good.
question. Number 18, Ann Gracie was also on the substitute list, so if she has a full-time position, I'm assuming she needs to be removed from the substitute list.
And she may have she may have done both.
Both at the same time, right.
But thank you for pointing that out. There's many crossed paths. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the consent agenda? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Old business? We have one board policy.
I make a motion we table this board policy. I still think it needs more work, and it's not ready for approval.
Second.
All those in, any discussion? All those in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Ayes have it. Item B,
Excess levy? Yes, sir. We are currently slated on the agenda for county commission on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. to request a special election date of December the 12th.
I thought they laid it for 9:30.
We received notice this morning that it is changed to the afternoon, and I am requested to arrive at 3:30 p.m. on Thursday, sir.
Is Thursday the deadline?
Yes,
And
ma'am, it is.
They can do whatever they need to do between 3:30 and 5 o'clock.
Presumably, yes, ma'am.
Do we know what, and I apologize, I haven't had a chance to look at their own regulations in this regard. I mean, obviously, they, we'll summarize here in a moment, but they have to approve, or they have jurisdiction over when other governmental entities can call special elections in the county.
Yes, sir.
But once they approve that, do we know what they then have to do? Anything? beyond
We
that?
have a timetable that we've laid out. Part of the timetable includes deadlines for varying portions of assigning precincts and certifying workers and things like that. So there are, each one of those deadlines, we started with the 12th and we backed up from there, which is what gave us that August 14th date, which was provided to us by the county commission staff as the final deadline by which they had to have a date set in order to assign precincts.
Okay. So one of the issues that we did discuss at the board retreat was the levy, and we kind of backed up from it expires in June of 2016.
Yes, sir, June
And so
30th.
we backed up and looked at what the statute requires in terms of the amount of time between an election and when it would take effect. And while we are very reluctant to ask the community to participate in a special election, as we look at the calendar, I mean, ideally we have a primary in May. We would prefer to hold this with the primary, but if for some reason the community did not support the levy during that vote, it would not give us enough time to go back out before it expires under state law. And so we believe that the prudent course of action is to give ourselves time. I'm confident that the community will support this, as they have for many decades, but I think to be prudent, we need to give ourselves the latitude to go back to the voters if we have to. And so that is the reason that we're asking the commission now for approval to hold special election.
Yes, sir. And those funds have already been allocated within the budget through the previous planning of previous administration and the board, knowing that this is not a year in which we would have a fall election.
Right. And this is not an item that the board needs to take any action on at this time, but this is an informational update.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Well, thank you for arranging and scheduling this. I know that I'm sure several of us have talked to the commission. I did speak to the president of the commission and a couple of members, and they certainly seem to be supportive of this. I thought they were going to approve it last week, but I guess.
And certainly and as I say frequently to my staff, to assume positive intent.
Right.
I am confident that their rationale is an abundance of caution,
Sure,
because
absolutely.
they are, like you, very convinced that this will be successful. This is a community that supports its schools and supports education, and they want there to be absolutely no question as to the legitimacy of it.
That's
So-
right, and so they wanted to make sure that it was properly noticed on their agenda, and I guess there were some concerns about whether it had been prior to the last meeting, so.
There was some discussion amongst
Yeah.
themselves and varying opinions as to that, and we certainly want them to feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Great. Anything else on this? New business?
Action to approve declaring one of the portables at Shepherdstown Middle School as surplus. It is not in a state currently that we would utilize it as a space for children, human beings. We are hopeful that we will be able to get someone in the community to purchase it for a nominal fee, actually, quite frankly, move it for us, so that it does not cost us to destroy it or to move it off property.
We have a motion?
Second.
Any questions?
Ralph, is that one of them out by the football field,
It's the one closest north,
closest to the road?
closest to the road.
I'm not sure I'd recognize Shepherdstown Middle without that portable
You could
there.
actually see the side of the school.
And the schools requested this too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was part of their LSIC that requested move this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Any other issues or any issues for executive session?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Great. Any comments from the board? Ms. Ogden?
I guess my only comment would be we really did enjoy having the opportunity to kind of go through a bunch of items at the board retreat. I was thankful for that opportunity, and I too was very surprised to read the journal article to find that what we thought we might be doing.
Yeah.
When I didn't remember that was discussed in that way. And I kind of wish Jenny was here because she actually was there to witness the entire conversation. But I was thankful, again, just to be able to look at all the areas of the school, all the ways we can do due diligence with our funding, all the ways that we can meet all the needs of the students that we have, and that was what was discussed. And so I'm thankful for that opportunity. And I'm thankful for the people that showed up here tonight and showed their passion and for what they feel, about that program and all the ways that we were able to learn even more about the things that happened through that program and many others. So, thank you.
Mr. Cable?
Sure.
Okay. Ms. Skinner?
I'm good.
Mr. Osborne?
I'm fine, thank you.
You probably said this in your opening remarks, which I know I missed, and so for my benefit as well as others, tell us again about we have a gathering for all personnel on.
We do. Well, we have two things, and we received an email today about this Saturday's African American Heritage Festival, at which we will have, of course, both of our high school bands and all of our middle school bands participating. We have a lovely, I'm sure it'll be brilliantly washed, vacuumed, squeegeed bus.
I suspect some of us will walk unless it's.
Oh, I will be walking. But the bus will be there to draw attention. Children love buses. So that's this Saturday. This Wednesday, we have a live convocation at the Ranson Civic Center, which the City of Ranson has very graciously allowed us to use free of charge. We will have all staff, and when I say all staff, every teacher, custodian, nutrition, maintenance, transportation, staff person in the school division transported, concierge service, as I love to say, from our transportation department. We will all be getting on buses at our work locations and riding to Ranson together to enjoy convocation, both to look at sort of the state of the schools, get some information about where we are right now, where we think we're headed as a school division, an opportunity to see some performances from our students, to hear from our school board, and truthfully just enjoy some fellowship and share some of one of the joys of working in a school division is that joy of it's a new year. Every time you get a fresh start, you get a great new bunch of kids, and it's wonderful and it's exciting. And for all the trials and tribulations that education have, it's still the best darn job on the planet, and sometimes we just need to get together and celebrate that. So
Great. Looking forward to it. And also, speaking of the community, thank you once again to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting the lunch last Friday for new teachers. And that was a terrific event, great turnout. I know we had over 20 new teachers there, although we had at the time over 30 that have signed up, and I'm sure we have more by now.
we did. Actually, I saw them this morning. They were out at Harpers Ferry Middle School this morning, both doing curriculum and instruction exercises and working on their content, but also are wonderful partners in this community, the FBI and the state police conducting safety exercises with them to help them feel comfortable. So
Good, great, okay. Anything else? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.